Here's another one that I get a lot of questions about. How do you unlearn worrying? Nothing comes from worrying but stress. And I know that, but my problem is that I want to have control of everything. That's not possible. God is in control. And I know that, but I still worry. So fear, worry, anxiety, this is the reason that we're here. This is the reason that this podcast exists. This is the reason that the Lord pulled me into this space, is because fear, anxiety, worry, control, we are all having this human experience together.
This is StRest. I'm Kerstin Lindquist, health coach, author, and Emmy award-winning TV host. I've committed to helping people reduce stress through impressive health science, attainable mindset change, and biblical truth. Let's have a real conversation with zero judgment and endless solutions that you can use. You aren't alone. You can do this. Let me help you reduce stress and make room for rest.
Hey, quick break. You want to know something that I do every single day? I boost. I call it boosting. Not only do I have a delicious protein shake from Vita Hustle every single day, I also boost. I take the vanilla and I put it in my oatmeal or my millet to give it some sweetness, or my non-fat Greek yogurt to give it some sweetness, plus extra protein. Have I mentioned lately how much you need protein? You need protein, but you also need your plants and your vegetables and your superfoods, which there are 86 of in Vita Hustle. I had the chance to work with a lot of different protein brands, and this one wins hands down with ingredients. They are the cleanest. There is no sugar alcohols, very little sugar, and it's all the natural sugar, Whole Foods, quality soil, 5 grams of sugar or less. I talk about it all the time. And it's all from monk fruit and stevia. Plus, you're getting ashwagandha for menopause support and cognition. You're getting biotin for hair, skin, and nails, pre and probiotics, so you don't have the gut problems that you sometimes have with other plant-based proteins. 20 grams of plant-based protein. Do it as often as you can, and it tastes divine. This summer, I think you should try the cafe latte. It has a little bit of caffeine in it, like 100 milligrams, and it's the most delicious treat. Everybody loves the strawberry. I'm a chocolate girl, chocolate, and more chocolate, and I always have to have the vanilla so I can do my boosting. That's a boost. You can get 20% off of Vita Hustle right now by going to www.vitahustle.com and putting in the code Kerstin20. That's vitahustle.com. Put in the code Kerstin20 for something that tastes great, never gritty, not too sweet, all the good ingredients, and it gives you your protein. vitahustle.com. Put in the code Kerstin20.
Hi, my friends. This is my first Ask Me Anything, AMA, for those of you who are new to podcasting, which I guess I am, although I've been listening to them for forever. We're going to start doing some of these Ask Me Anything podcasts every couple of months because I get so many great questions. So first and foremost, make sure you go and you email me, Kerstin, at Kerstin-Lindquist.com. You can find it on my website. You can ask questions in the comments of the podcast if you're listening to it on Apple or YouTube or Spotify or Audible or wherever it is. But get me those questions because I would love to be able to address them in future AMAs, Asks Me Anything episodes. On that note, please do hit subscribe. Do share this podcast with everybody out there, anybody that needs a little dose of health science and biblical truth, or to be able to relax a little bit and hear the Lord and get less stressed. And also please write a review because that's kind of what pushes the podcast up towards the top. And that's what allows us to keep doing this twice a week for you and to be able to come directly to your home or your car or your shower or wherever you're listening. Yes, I've listened to podcasts in the shower before. I know from experience, without you having to pay a dime. So please continue to just kind of spread the love and subscribe on YouTube and everywhere. Okay, without further ado, let's get into these questions. So many of you have asked great questions and I can't wait to answer. All right, first question, castor oil. So many people have seen me talk about castor oil, and I've also posted on Instagram that I use castor oil. I'll do a little background. So I had cysts back in 2023, I believe. 2023 is when that happened. Ovarian cysts. And that's actually normal. Many women have cysts. They come and they go. They come with our cycles and things like that. Mine ended up being endometrioma, which is a part of endometriosis. So I started doing a lot of integrative health practices, for my endometriosis, which I will say is because I ended up having stage 4, but never really having many symptoms until I felt that one kind of episode of pain that I had one day. I do believe all of my integrative practices, mindfulness, sauna, cold plunge, the way that I eat, obviously, exercise, all of that helped me not really be symptomatic of my endometriosis. Now, infertility, that was a symptom. Maybe they could have figured this out decades ago when I was trying to get pregnant. But my CRP, which is a level of the inflammation in your body, is extremely low, like nearly undetectable. And endometriosis is a inflammatory disease. So it's pretty amazing that so much that I'm doing has helped me with this disease that I carried. So I was doing acupuncture at the time, and my acupuncturist, whom I just love, and I'm trying to get an acupuncturist on the show. If you know any of them, let me know because I'd love to interview them. She said I should try castor oil packs. And actually, when I was talking to some of my other friends who are kind of in the health and wellness space, nurse practitioners, they said to try castor oil packs as well. And my understanding with it was detox. So it helps with detoxing wherever you put it. So, people put castor oil on their face and on their hair and things like that. And so that's why I started it, was doing the castor oil packs at night. It was also a great time to have kind of a moment of relaxation. Like you have to sit. What I do is I get the castor oil. It has to be organic. It has to be really great quality. It has to be in a dark bottle. There's science behind it being in a dark bottle as well. And then I pour it onto, you can buy these pads. I was using puppy pads because they're disposable and inexpensive, but somebody pointed out that those have chemicals in them, those puppy pads. So I stopped using puppy pads. I know I had said that earlier, but again, this is why the research is always changing. I stopped using puppy pads, even though they're cheap and easy to do, because of the possibility of chemical leaking back into my skin. So do use cloth now, put it on my stomach, in my belly button, on top of the ovaries. And then I put a heating pad and then I sit and I try to do it for 45 minutes to an hour every single day, except for the days that you're on your period. My acupuncturist was like, don't do it when you're on your period. And I didn't really actually follow up and ask her why. I just kind of trust her because I will tell you, that's a whole nother episode. Acupuncture was so healing for me in every single way. So I really, really trusted her. But some of the benefits of castor oil. So it has a form of acid in it that is kind of like a laxative effect. So you hear some people talking about putting castor oil on their stomachs for like bloating, which I truly believe in as well, or weight loss. And I can't speak to that, but I know that there are laxative effects from castor oil. It also has anti-inflammatory properties, which can help with reduction of pain and swelling. Not for everybody. Everybody's body is different. So you got to try and see what works for you. And then detoxification as well. Traditional medicine suggests that castor oil can help remove toxins from the body. Some of the limitations, though, with the studies that have been shown on castor oil, if you go in and you read the science and the research, which I really believe in everybody being able to do, there haven't been any studies that have scientifically proven what castor oil can do. It's really much more anecdotal, which means you can do a study of asking people how they feel, or you can do like a real scientific study where you're measuring it. You're still asking people how they feel. Castor oil has been one of those things that has been passed down for generations. It was also kind of like an Eastern medicine type thing as well. So it's worked for so many people that it's continued to be done. But if you look in hardcore scientific data, it'll say over and over again, it can't really be proven that castor oil is doing any of those things. Some of you who maybe shouldn't use castor oil, it can cause skin irritation. You could be allergic to it, and it can cause some gastrointestinal things as well if you're using too much of it. You don't ingest it though. Like you put it on your body. It's great for a bunch of different places. It's not to be used. Like I don't want you going out there and putting castor oil on your ovaries and your tummy and being like, I don't have to go to a doctor. You always have to go to the doctor. Everything that I use is in conjunction with the doctor. So I went to 5 different gynecologists before I had my surgery and before I was diagnosed with endometriosis. 5. It was a freaking full-time job trying to find a doctor who could help figure out what was going on inside my body. And part of the reason why is I didn't have the normal symptoms of endometriosis because I was such a healthy person in general. So I went to 5 different gynecologists. Every single time somebody would say that, oh, food isn't going to have an impact or exercise doesn't have an impact, I was out because I knew that was old science. So I finally found a great one. I finally found the most amazing surgeon. And while he couldn't spend time, and go back and listen to my last solo episode, you'll hear more about this. While he couldn't find the time to be able to sit with me and talk about nutrition and exercise and castor oil and things like that, he's the one who sent me to the acupuncturist and sent me to a dietitian to be able to talk to me more about those things. So find the doctor who won't negate the other methods that will keep you healthy. Yes, pills are important sometimes. Yes, surgery needs to happen sometimes, but that doesn't mean that your doctor should say that is the end all and be all. They should say, but also you should be seeing a health coach. You should be seeing a nutritionist. You should be seeing an acupuncturist. You should be getting a massage. You should be doing castor oil packs if you think that that's what works for you. So that's my long about castor oil. I believe that it works. I still, to this day, use it as many nights as I can when I'm not on my period, and I truly do believe in the benefits. All right, this is one that I got from multiple people. So this is from Carol. She says, hi, Kerstin, I'm so confused about the different types of magnesium and dosage. You mentioned the glycinate is before bed, and then there's the citrate is for sleep. This is such a confusing topic. Hope you can help me. I am sure there are others out there who have this question as well. Thank you so much. Another question asked, you talked about magnesium. Can you tell me the benefits, what they are, and which type of magnesium do you recommend and dosage amount? Let's go through the types of magnesium to start with. So citrate, when you see magnesium citrate, that's going to help you more with things like constipation. It's very easily absorbed. So it's something that I will tell people to take during the day if that's one of their concerns. These are the type of things where it's so important to work with a health coach or a doctor as opposed to just what you see on Instagram. Oh, I'm going to take magnesium, because we got to figure out what's really, really going on in your life to see which type of magnesium is right for you. Glycinate is my favorite type of magnesium because that's the one that's going to address stress and sleep and rest. So I tell people to take 550 milligrams or more in the evening before bed. I personally take about 700 milligrams every single night of magnesium glycinate. You can also get the magnesium biglycinate, but that's the one that I usually take in the evening and I tell other people to do as well. It's great for relaxation. It's great for mood. Malate, magnesium malate. That's going to be more for your muscle pain and your fatigue of your body. So if you hear people talk about having like leg cramps and things like that, I will say do malate and then do that during the day. Magnesium oxide, that's going to help with indigestion and heartburn. If you have any of those issues, again, it's more of a daytime, but you can also take that one at night. Overall heart health is you're going to be your magnesium taurate, and that's going to help with lowering your blood pressure. It also helps with overall heart health. So a lot of people will go on a magnesium taurate for that reason alone, but that's what we're talking about with heart health. And then L-threonate is another one that I take, and that's cognition, memory, and alertness. So personally for me, and again, a lot of this comes out of research for myself, I take what I call kind of a complete neuromagnesium during the day. And I get it for Designs for Health. It's my favorite kind. And I take that during the day as directed, which I believe is like 300 milligrams. And then at night, I take about 700 milligrams of my magnesium biglycinate. Now, sometimes when I'm working with clients and cognition and memory isn't really their thing that they're focusing on, but they've got leg pain and they get Charlie horses all the time, or they have heart issues or high blood pressure, then I will put them on a different form of magnesium or recommend a different form of magnesium during the day and then do the glycinate and the biglycinate at night. All stuff you can talk to your doctor about. You don't have to take my advice. I'm telling you what I do. And when I talk with my clients, what I work on with them. A lot of it also comes from doing blood testing and seeing where they're at and what their needs are, talking, getting all of their background information so I can see where their needs are. And also sometimes doing a gut test as well can really help to see if things are being absorbed or not. But magnesium is like my top. Other than vitamin D is my absolute favorite supplement. I was talking to Dr. Tabitha Barber, a big friend of the show who we love. And she was talking about, I mean, when she had women in surgery, because she's a gynecologist, who's a surgeon, they would put them on an IV drip of like a gram of magnesium. So magnesium is one of those things that your body really needs and is depleted from. Now, another way that I also get magnesium is in drinking it. So I like to do trace minerals for hydration, magnesium, potassium, sodium. I love those via Buoy and Element. Those are my two favorites there as well. I'll link all this in the show notes so you can find stuff on my website as well. I think it's really important for us in terms of hydration to be getting magnesium, sodium, and potassium, so you can get a little bit more there. But what I do often say is I don't think that any of us, especially a woman over the age of 40, which I know is who I'm mostly talking to, I don't think any of us get enough magnesium just from the drink or just from like a multivitamin. There's some great multivitamins out there, but I do feel like we need to supplement a little bit. And I also think if you're somebody who's really struggling with sleep, magnesium at night is going to change your life. One of the first things that I will say is let's get you on some magnesium at night and see how that can help you with rest and relaxation and sleep. But that form is the magnesium glycinate or the magnesium biglycinate, which is something that I'll often tell people to get. All right, that was my magnesium question. Here's another one that I get a lot of questions about. Hi, Kirsten. I have a question for your podcast. So kind. How do I settle my mind of fears and anxieties to hear what God is telling me? I pray daily, but I seem to be a bit lost and I need to try and reconnect. That's from somebody named SPR. Another kind of the same kind of question, so I'll approach them all at the same time. How do you unlearn worrying? This is from Cheryl. Nothing comes from worrying but stress. And I know that, but my problem is that I want to have control of everything. That's not possible. God is in control. And I know that, but I still worry. So fears, worry, anxiety, this is the reason that we're here. This is the reason that this podcast exists. This is the reason that the Lord pulled me into this space, is because fear, anxiety, worry, control, we are all having this human experience together. All of us are going through this. It is not something that you are alone in. And I think a lot of women believe that as they're starting to feel this in their 40s and their 50s specifically, that they are totally alone and that they're only ones who are worrying all the time and anxious all the time and trying to control everything all the time. And you are not alone. We are all going through this. Part of it is hormonal, you guys. It really is. I want you to think about women in their 40s and their 50s, 100, 200 years ago, biblical times even. These were women who were having babies in their teens, maybe their 20s. These were women who home was their job. They weren't out making a career and hustling and starting a business and things like this. This is women who cohabitated with their parents, maybe their grandparents and the kids. Like everybody lived together, and there is so much health in generational living. I know that we joke sometimes. I was talking on the Candace Cameron podcast when she was with me on this one as well. And I think so many of my guests have said this, that they just want to like live in like a compound with their children and everybody be next door to each other. And I know that we kind of laugh about that. And I think that sometimes even in society, we frown upon that a little bit because we're like, no, your kids need to go off and have their own lives and their own experiences. But if you look at the most or the healthiest communities, those blue zones that we study a lot, the elders who live the longest, the kids who are the healthiest, it's the ones who they all cohabitate together. It is those communities where it is grandparents living with the parents and the kids, 4 generations all living together. I remember when my mom was in like just the worst throes towards the end of her dementia. And I was so worried about what it was doing to the kids every time that we were with her, when she was staying at our house or we were at her house. And then I was reading and I was listening to my mentors and people like that. And they're like, no, this is the best thing for them. They need to see this. Death is not something to be afraid of because we know where we're going. Death is something to be embraced, and these children need to see it, and they need to see how you're dealing with your mother and how we love on and we serve one another. So it's healthy on so many different levels. It's healthy for the children, it's healthy for the adults, all of that. So back to that woman in her 40s, 50s, and 60s who back in the day would have been living with her mom and her dad and would have been caring for them. And that would have been her purpose and her job at that point. She wouldn't be having a baby at 45 or 48. She wouldn't be starting a new business at 50 or 55. So her stress level, while it might be high in caring for aging parents. She wouldn't have any of the other stuff. She wouldn't have babies. She wouldn't have been taking hormones and shots to get pregnant. She wouldn't be having all this forced unnatural light all night long because she was on emails and Zoom calls until 11 o'clock at night and she was totally stressed out. She also wouldn't have been eating processed food all of the time. She would have been moving a lot and exercising naturally, not sedentary all the time. So because of that, this woman in her 40s and her 50s and her 60s, her hormones would be in better check. When we get super stressed out, our hormones go crazy. When our cortisol level goes super high all day long, our hormones go crazy, which is why a lot of you are getting checked for cortisol. And it's throwing everything off. And then if you go back again to one of my first solo episodes, we talk about stress and what that's doing to us and how that's impacting every single major mechanism within the body. So fast forward now to where we are. We are doing these things. We're having babies later in life. We're starting businesses. We're trying to care for aging parents, but they're not living with us, so it's not as easy. Although some of us would argue that's harder, but it's also easier in some ways because you're there and that's your sole purpose. And our cortisol is high. We're not sleeping. Our stress levels are high. And naturally, our bodies at 40, 50, 60 are going through changes and our hormones are changing. And so our ability to metabolize stress has lessened. But biologically, and the way that it would have been dealt with hundreds of years ago, our bodies are adapting and we're doing different things. So it's okay that our bodies are changing because our lifestyle is changing as well. Well, we're forcing it not to. So what happens is we're extra stressed out. Our hormones are in whack. Our cortisol is super, super high. And that leads to anxiety and worry. All of that leads to anxiety and worry. Now, are there those of you out there and people out there who have clinical depression or anxiety and need pharmaceutical help with it? Yes. But I think that if we really dig deep and look at that as well, there are things that you can do or that happened in your life, whether it was childhood trauma, midlife trauma, the way that you've eaten for 30 years, the way you haven't slept for 30 years, birth control that you were on, drugs that you took as a child, antibiotics that have led to having an imbalance in your body that could have been avoided or changed, which is why you are at that point of clinical depression or anxiety. It's why I believe so much in fasting to get rid of those zombie cells. It's why I believe so much in gut testing to see what's going on, because gut health, anxiety, and worry, depression, so linked. It's so linked.
We'll be right back. Don't go away. It's just getting good.
Hey, quick pause. This is when you wish you were watching the show, which you can do on YouTube, by the way, because what you're going to see is that I do not really have much makeup on, a little bit of lip gloss, and my absolute favorite, Dr. Denese Skin Science. This is her Tinted Defense Day Cream SPF 40. You can see by my bottle that I use it every single day. And this is the supersized bottle, which is what you absolutely need. It gives me the protection that I need because it has SPF. It gives me the blur because it has those pigments. But most importantly, like all of Dr. Denese's skincare products, they actually work. She uses the most of the efficacious ingredients, and they're all clean. You know, I wouldn't talk to you about anything in your skincare or your beauty that wasn't clean beauty. This brand really has changed my skin. Listen, I'm 47 years old. I need a little extra help. I'll tell you where to start. Other than the skin defense, you're going to need HydroShield. Oh my goodness, the hydration. It has changed my deeply dehydrated life and makes it look like perhaps I got all the sleep and I have no stress and I didn't cry in the bathroom after my kids went to sleep at night. It really, really works. Everything does. And with clean beauty. And because we want you to have your own midlife glow up and be able to be, I don't know, maybe makeup free from time to time like I am right now. Dr. Denese has given you a little something off. Go to drdenese.com and use the code STRESSED. That's STREST for a discount. You'll thank me later. Now back to the show.
So part of this is trying to let you off the hook for this anxiety and this worry and this need to control. Why am I feeling it and why can't I get rid of it? Part of it is biological, but you do have some skin in the game here. If you're going to continue to hustle and have that business when you're 55, if you're going to continue to work super, super hard, and maybe you did have babies a little bit later in life, then you have to change the other things in your life in order for your body to naturally be able to allow the hormones to do what they're supposed to do at this age. So that means you have to, in the afternoon, have a mind break. It's not a recommendation. It is a must. And I know that resting and stopping and sleeping seems like, oh, I'm weak. But you know what? You are weak. You're 55 years old. You're 60 years old. Or you're 45 years old. You are weaker than you were at 30. And that's okay. You also have a greater capacity for empathy at this age. That's something else that changes. You're able to love on people more because what you're supposed to be doing is caring for your aging parents, not hustling nonstop and never getting a break. So you need to love on yourself first. Love on yourself where you're at. And when I say that you're weak, that doesn't mean I'm just going to go sit in the corner and knit. Nothing against knitting. It means you have to be able to honor your body. And you know what? At 2:00, I have to do 10 minutes of NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. I have to find time every single week to get a massage or meditate. I have to find time every single day to move my body for 20, 30, 40 minutes. This is the very trendy self-care stuff that we're talking about that needs to be non-negotiable in your life so that you can continue to do the other things that you want to do at 45, 50, 55, and 60, and you aren't relegated to just caring for an aging parent and counting coins. Do people count coins? I had a friend who really liked coin collecting, which I think would be an easy, very calm thing to do in the afternoons. Are you understanding this? Is this tracking? So it's not how do I get rid of my anxiety? How do I unlearn worry and control? It is literally getting into your body and changing what's going on with your hormones to better honor where your body is so that the anxiety and the worry won't come as much. So that's the health science part of it. Okay, you have to do the adjustments in your life. That means you have to take the brain breaks I talk about all the time, the 15-minute rule. You have to stop being in a hurry. Oh my goodness. You have to stop being in a hurry so that your cortisol isn't at all-time high all the time. That's the health science part. Now let's go to the Jesus part. Control is not of his vocabulary. Control is not in the Lord's vocabulary. Control is not a biblical concept. Control does not exist. He does not have control. We do not have control. Get the word control out of your mouth and out of your mind. It's not there. If it was, God would have it, but he doesn't even have it either. Your need to control everything is saying, I don't trust you, God. And so many times we will, as Christians, be like, I'm giving it to God, faith over fear. I'm just surrendering it to him. I'm just letting him all have it. Yet in the background, we are trying to control and manipulate and plan. And we have our lists. I have a friend at church who says, burn the list. You got to just burn the list. And I know that sounds scary to so many people because you are a parent, you are a mother, you are the one who's in charge of everybody. You're the top of the food chain, like I like to say in my life. But you know what? You have to let go of all the stuff, of the list of things, and really mean it. Not just say, I'm going to give it to God, but then still behind the scenes, try and control and manipulate everything to work out. How do you unlearn worry? You live present. If you're worrying, you're thinking about the future. If you have fear, you're thinking about the future. If you're wrapped up in control, you're thinking about the future. You tell yourself over and over again, I am okay now. And you know what? In this moment, you are. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you're in a position in which you can hear something and you're in a position in which you're okay right now. Now, you could very well be in a bed sick because you just had chemotherapy. And that doesn't feel very okay right now. But you know what it is? Because in that moment, God has got you. In this moment right now, you are lockstep with your Lord. Not about what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the next minute or the next week, but right now. And the same thing works for worrying about your finances. That's in the future. Same thing works for worrying about your kids. That's in the future. Same thing works for worrying about a diagnosis or what's going to happen in the disease. That's in the future. Even if you're living in pain, it's a worry and it's a fear that the pain's never going to go away. That's living in the future. So the best thing you can do for unlearning worry or getting through that fear is to live present. And how do you live present? When you feel like the future is coming into it, when the fear, when the worry, all of that, you bring it back to right now and God. And you pray and you ask him, because he's sitting right there next to you, just waiting. You ask him for the help. You ask him to help ease the pain. You ask him what he wants you to know about the pain. You ask him what he wants you to know about the future. Why do I keep on focusing, God, on the bills a month from now? What do you want me to know about that? Ask him. Spend time with him. Surrender and rest in him. You guys, it's a practice. Nobody's perfect. I am somebody who also has been very prone to worry and wanting to control. And I love my list. Like, I know I need to get rid of the list, and I do. Like, I give the list up. But sometimes in the evenings when I'm relaxing, I write things in my calendar and I list it out what I need to do. Like, that's actually relaxing to me. I've gotten to a point where it can be relaxing to me. It's still a list, but if I'm listing and and I'm like this and I'm holding on really tight and oh gosh, I got to get to this list. And then I know I need to get rid of the list. If the list is relaxing to me, and I'm like, okay, it might happen. It might not happen. It's all God. God's got a plan. Then I know I'm in the right place. You know what's great is we can have all of these plans, but God really shows up and gives us these miracles when we stop planning. When you just wander into what he has for you, wander into it. Let him lead. Stay behind him. You should not be in front of the Lord. You should not be planning your steps. You are following right behind, because you know why we need to be behind him? So he can protect us from whatever is to come. So how do you unlearn worry? Fear. Always trying to control. You keep practicing. You go back to surrendering it to God, asking him what he wants you to know, praying and living present, living in the moment. And then on the health science side of things, you have to make sure you're taking care of your body and you're honoring your body. You're taking the brain breaks. You're slowing down in the parts of your life where you can. You might not be able to slow down in your job. You might not be able to slow down in taking care of your kids or your aging parents. Then you need to build in the breaks. You need to build in the NSDR and the really, really good antioxidant foods and the exercise every single day and the guarding your sleep like it is just like a Fabergé egg. Do we guard Fabergé eggs? Whatever it is, your sleep is the most important. It really is. You have to. You are going to be so worried and so stressed out and so full of anxiety if you're not sleeping because your brain isn't healing. Maybe I should have done the entire podcast on just that question. That's a big one that so many people are asking. Okay, let's try and do one more or a couple of like easy ones. Help with hair loss and shedding. This comes from Kim. Kim, I love the Omi product. Once QVC, always QVC. I really love Naomi Whittle and everything that she's doing. And I've seen the research into her hair product. It takes a while. So you've got to stay on it for 60 or 90 days to start to see it, but you really do start to see the difference in your hair. Now, again, I go back to why is the hair loss happening? Why is the shedding happening? Sometimes it can be hormonal. Sometimes it can be a medication that you're on. So I would encourage you to work with somebody to be able to figure out what's going on in your gut and what you're eating and how you're sleeping to see if that's having an impact in it. But I do love the OMI product for hair loss, a good digestive enzyme. See, again, love this. I take digestive enzymes because in my gut testing, I know that I need that extra support. So they're called Digestimes and they are from Designs from Health. I will link those as well for you. And a good protein bar is whenever you look at a protein bar, you turn it over and you try and make sure it has 5 ingredients or less and 5 grams of sugar or less. The only ones that I found that are like that are the RX bars. I also like the Kate's bars. I've personally loved those. And I don't have any affiliation with these. Unless they want to come sponsor the podcast, then please feel free. I just know that those have the cleanest ingredients that I've seen, Kate's and then the RX bars. Okay, and then one more question, which I feel like is great because I am a big fan of it. Kirsten, I know you have a fitness workshop coming up. It would be great if you could talk about walking with a weighted backpack, how far you walk, weight, and all of that. What does rucking do for your body? Okay, so I do love a weighted backpack. I use a GoRuck backpack. I'll put that in the links as well. And my husband got it for me for Christmas a couple of years ago. It was a 10-pounder, and I started with that. And fun story, I asked him for the 20-pounder for Christmas, and he got me the 30. So apparently he had a lot of faith in me. So I now ruck with the 30-pound backpack. The first couple of times I used that 30, I thought I was going to die. Like I could not go far, which is great for my friends because I tend to walk faster than my friends and it kind of slows me down. But the benefits of rucking are fantastic. It helps you burn more calories. So just by putting that weight on you, you're burning more calories. So if you're walking for weight loss or to burn calories, that's it right there. It increases your aerobic endurance. So that is how far you can go, how fast you can go, your heart, like cardio health, like heart health. It's fantastic because you're getting a bigger strain on your heart. Oftentimes with walking, it's not a big cardio strain. This gives you more of a cardio strain, which is great. And we know that those strains, and go back and listen to these other episodes as well about HRV and things like that, will help with heart rate variability, which I'm hoping a lot of you are all tracking on your Ultrahuman. But it also helps you maintain muscle as you age. So you see a lot of these like 50 plus women rucking these days. I kind of believe that as we age, running isn't the best for our body because of the way that you're putting it on the joints, like your knees and things like that. So if we are stopping with the running, but we still need to help with our endurance and our cardio, that's why rucking's great because it puts more of a strain on you, but it also helps with your muscles and your bones. So we know that as we age, osteoporosis is can be an issue, and that can be something that we need to think about. So rucking is helping build bone and maintain your muscle as you age as well. Prevent osteoporosis, sarcopenia, which is muscle loss. There's some evidence out there that rucking is great for things like diabetes and heart disease, and then also mental health. I think that those studies though are yes, it is, but exercise in general is going to do that. We know that. For me, I walk a lot. Like that's my main form of exercise other than weightlifting. And actually, as opposed to having coffee with somebody or food with somebody, usually it's like, okay, let's go for a walk. Like the other day I had like 3 walks on my schedule. And Dan's like, my husband, walking again. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't go out to lunches and I don't do coffees as much or drinks ever. So I just walk with people. So if walking is going to be my main form of exercise, sometimes I really need to kick it up a notch. And so by wearing the weighted backpack, that kicks it up a notch. That gives me my weight workout. It's great for my muscles and my bones, obviously mental health, aerobic activity, HRV, all of that. Highly recommend it. How far do I walk? It depends on who I'm walking with. I try to get in 2 to 3 miles when I go for a walk, or actually I go more by time, like 45 minutes to an hour on the days when walking is my main form of exercise. On days when I'm weightlifting or I'm doing yoga or I'm spinning, I just try to get to my 7,000 steps or 5 to 7,000 steps on those days on my Ultrahuman ring. But on the days when the walking is my main form of exercise, it's 45 minutes to an hour, if not a little bit more. And I would say 9 out of 10 times I'm wearing the backpack. I'm wearing the 30-pound backpack. Everybody start at 10. Start at 10, please. But I do highly recommend it. I think that if you're somebody who walks anyway, put on that backpack and get out there because it is going to up your game. And I also, anecdotally, just my opinion, I think it makes your butt look fantastic. I have not seen a change in my butt in a long time. I grew up with a large behind and thighs. My nickname as a child was Thunder Thighs. I just recently rediscovered that. I forgot all about it. And we were watching videos and I was like, oh my goodness. And my kids were appalled that people would call me that. It didn't really impact me that much. But then as I aged, I lost my butt. One of the models at QVC, Katya, you probably all know her if you watch QVC. She's like, girl, don't lose your butt. I was like, I know. What's happening? So I was really like trying to like boost my butt. And nothing has worked like rucking. Rucking and wearing that backpack has really, really worked. I also feel like it helps my back. At first, I felt like it was hurting my lower back a little bit more. I was having a little bit more lower back pain, but I was wearing a heavy, heavy backpack. So I had to just incorporate more stretching. But now I feel like it's really strengthening my back and my core. So big fan of rucking. Go out there and get it. Wow. That episode went like that. I love these questions, you guys. Please keep on asking me questions. I would love to be able to answer them. Let's go back. You're going to find information about magnesium, about rucking, all of that in the show notes, castor oil. I will put as many links as I can so you can find them, but you can always find more information on my website. That's Kerstin-Lindquist. And another great place to find out more information, get the handouts, get emailed all of the links, is to go into my workshops. Nutrition, sleep, super important. That's the best place to start. If you haven't done a workshop yet, but I would start with sleep, purpose building, movement, stress. or come to one of my live events so we can learn more. And in those live events and in those workshops, you are able to ask me one-on-one questions because I keep them small so that I can actually spend some time and you guys ask me questions in person. It's what I thrive on and I love. So let's get out there and do it. I'm going to say a quick prayer for all of you as you go about your day. Heavenly Father, every single person that is listening and watching this right now needs you, Lord. Please take the lead. Keep us all behind you as you forge the path ahead for us. Keep us safe. Keep us healthy. Keep us surrendering in stillness so that we can hear you. We love you, Lord. You are such a good, good God. We are so blessed by everything you're doing in our lives. Thank you, Jesus, for this time together. Amen. Love you, friends. Talk soon.
Wow, are you ready for what is coming up next on StRest? Next week, we're going to talk to Donna Winship. Remember when we had Jamie Winship, like the real life Jason Born for Jesus on the show? Well, now we have his wife, and she is going to talk to us all about identity and purpose, and then dive into what it was like to move through the Middle East with children, to be put in all of those situations where her life was at risk, as well as her husband and her children, and to trust God through it all. It's a great conversation with Donna Winship. That's coming up on the next episode of StRest.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your reviews help others find the podcast and join our community. Follow me on social media at Kerstin.Lindquist for daily tips and inspiration. And visit my website at www.Kerstin-Lindquist.com to sign up for our newsletter and receive exclusive content. The information provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions that you may have regarding a medical condition. The host of this podcast is a certified health coach and medical researcher, not a licensed medical professional, and the content shared does not constitute medical advice. While we strive to provide accurate and up-to-date information, we encourage you to do your own research and consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your healthcare treatment plans. Thank you for joining me on this journey to reduce stress and make room for rest. Remember, you're not alone. Keep coming back, share your story, ask for help, and give yourself grace.